Hey guys, welcome to the Powerful Man Show, where we help married businessmen save their marriages without having to talk about it, get unstuck, and gain clarity in their lives. As I like to say, life is too short for average. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. Now let's get this started. All right, Tim, how you doing, brother?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. How you doing?
What the dead time, guys? If you do not watch this on YouTube every once in a while, you definitely should. Tim and I just have a lot of fun poking at each other as you would with your best friends back home too. So I'm doing great. Got a big day planned over here. Really excited about doing these podcasts. I know that you and I have missed each other in the past, so we've had some great revisits.
Mm-hmm.
And the community just continues to grow. The men that are reaching out and the listenership of this podcast is just amazing. So, guys, if you're listening to this thinking, man, I'm the only one going through this right now, just know that there are literally tens of thousands of men and some women, because we get replies from them, that are downloading and listening to this show on a regular basis. So you certainly aren't alone, and you're in a tribe of elite men who are actually doing something about it. So kudos to you guys for listening to this, which does bring me up a funny story. Well, kind of funny, as you guys probably saw in the title of this. So let me set the tone for this one, Tim, because I think it's going to be an interesting, scene to be set, and you guys will understand what's going on. And of course, the title, if have you ever wished your wife was dead? Right, it's a very striking title to kick it off. But we were at an alpha reset, one that I was leading, and there was a gentleman that was there, just the salt of the earth guy, right? This guy was one of the nicest people you would meet, give you the shirt off his back, an amazing business leader. And he had done everything right? Kind of the classic, done everything right in business, had taken over the family, company, had grown it exponentially. And along that journey, had taken care of his family, his extended family, and his immediate family, and had really shown up for his wife. And we're sitting at the Alpha Reset, as we do, having conversations. And he goes, I got to share something with you guys. This is really bad. So we're all kind of poised. You know, that is when someone's like, oh, I got to share some really bad news with you, or something that's really, really feel guilty about. And we're ready for him to drop this huge bomb. And you could just tell by his facial expressions and his body language how much this was weighing him down. I was like, yeah, this is a safe place. Please do share. And he looks at the ground and is kind of, looking at his hands. He goes, sometimes, I know this is horrible, but sometimes I wish my wife was just dead. It would just be easier. And me, being the sensitive man that I am, just started laughing. I just started laughing. And he's looking at me like, why are you laughing? And I paused for a second and I looked at him. I said, well, thanks for sharing. I said, guys, so you got to imagine, Tim, the scene. There were about 12 men in the room or so, at this time. I said, guys, let me see a show of hands. How many of you guys at one time or another have had the thought, just the thought, not that you would ever carry it out, but you've had the thought, man, life would be easier if my wife was dead? And Tim, as horrible as this sounds, especially doing on a podcast without the total context of the situation, you just saw men's arms shoot up like rockets, right? Just like rockets. And the relief this guy saw, the shock, first he was in shock and awe of like, what? I'm not the only one. And this happens so often to us guys, right? And happens to women too, to be fair. They get caught in a situation where you feel like you're just doing everything right. You're doing everything you can, but the arguments, the nagging, the constant pushback just keeps coming your way. And finally, you get friggin' tired of it. You're just tired of it. You're going, look, this would be easier with another woman. Or maybe I'll go celibate and I'll raise the kids myself. It would just be easier to do by myself because I wouldn't have to be met with so much resistance. And that follows up for a lot of the guys, right? With this intense feeling of guilt, which obviously is followed by shame. And these guys get caught in that guilt and shame loop that's happening for them. They feel guilty because, oh man, I shouldn't feel this way about my wife. I shouldn't feel this way at all. And then they feel shame that they even went there, right? Shame that they even had the thought. Now, again, none of these guys, and we talked about this at the event, just so everybody knows, none of these guys has ever laid a hand on their wife, nor would they ever commit the act of killing their wife. That's not what they were there for. These men were there because they were saving their marriage, right? Some had already done so because they went through the activation method, and so they're on a great path. So we're just still talking about past discretions. And what happens for so many men is when they're in this situation of shame, in this situation of guilt, they really feel isolated and alone. They feel like they can't speak to anybody because of what their thought process is so dark that how could they ever, this nice person that everybody else sees them to be, and by the way, they are, how could they ever have a thought like this? And that guilt and shame buries them down and puts them in a place where they start beating themselves up even more and finding justifications for why their wife is right, which then causes them to go back into nice guy mode, which we all know when you're in deer mode, it's not good. For those who are new to the show, deer is an acronym we use for defend, excuse, explain, react. And the deer is not the wolf. The deer is not wise, open, loving, and fierce, which is what we teach here at The Powerful Man.
um, it's the funny one, isn't it? When you feel like you're the only one in the room thinking something, and it's kind of like that little secret nobody's talking about. Yeah, everybody's thinking the same thing, but it's also so freeing when you realize, oh, hang on a minute, it's not just me. Like you said, the guilt and the shame that can be lifted, but also on the flip side, the guilt and the shame that can stack as well by keeping things to yourself. It's funny, I just came off an inner circle call, and as you know, we've implemented some improvements, some upgrades really to the process there, and it was the accountability call, and I shared something with the men that one of the guys had shared with me a couple of weeks ago, actually, when we were coaching. And I don't think he'd shared it with the other men in the group.
Mhm.
And the IC is in a circle, Doug. Doug just messaged me asking what the IC is. Have you forgotten what the IC is?
No, what I was doing, we throw around
I'm just
names and
teasing.
terms
I'm
so
just
often,
teasing.
as you will say, "Oh, Amelia did this." Like people don't know who Amelia is.
I'm just getting you back. I love to get you back.
So
Yeah,
the
anyway, so
inner circle is our one of our more advanced 1-year mastermind groups for men that have already graduated the activation method and have chosen to go into the inner circle because they would like more individualized coaching.
yeah, well said. You say it better than I do.
That's true.
So yeah, anyway, one of the guys had shared something with him in a coaching session a couple of weeks prior, and I just brought it up in the middle of the session because it was relevant, right? One, um, because total transparency is empowering when you don't have anything to hide, when the skeletons are out of the closet, and you share the most vulnerable parts of yourself with other men, like this guy did at the Alpha Reset, like we did on the Inner Circle call. Creates freedom, right? The shame begins to dissolve because you realize, hang on a minute, I'm not as bad as I thought I was gonna look to be. When I actually shared this. So um yeah, I mean, look, just getting things off your chest is huge, and especially in an environment where it's safe. Alpha Reset, Inner Circle, maybe it's with your guy friends having a few beers, whatever it is, because you don't want to keep it to yourself. And the chances are, to your point, other people will be thinking the same.
Well, yeah, it's really what's going on here. And this guy, we took him through this process where he came to his own conclusion. Again, amazing group of guys. Is he loves his wife, absolutely loves her.
Yeah,
And so
but
what this is analogous to, or is kind of like this idea is, let's just say you're training for a 5K, couch to 5K, which is I'm going to start doing because one of my goals in October is to go for a run with some of the guys. So last event we had in Costa Rica, as you know, I was injured And one of the things I wanted to do in the mornings, there's always a group of guys that go for a run, right? And they usually run to the lowest common denominator, which will probably be me in this case. And then some of those guys are training for Ironman and other events. They'll go longer, but they all go together. One of my goals is to go for a run with those guys, right? I just think it'd be fun to do. Again, I planned on doing it in Costa Rica. I was in shape to do it for Costa Rica, but I got injured. And so I couldn't, as you know. Anyway, so that's one of my goals, but this is kind of analogous to that is, you know, when you're thinking about your wife, right? You're thinking, God, this is going to be easier without her. It's kind of like when you're starting to train for that first run and you start to go out and you take your first little jog and stop 20 feet later and going, geez, this, you know what? Weight training is just easier. I'm just going to do that. This is ridiculous. I'm 45. My knees hurt. Excuse. This is too difficult. Right. And it's true. These are all stories that I would tell myself. And I'm sure a lot of guys listening to this can resonate with this story. But the truth is, what this guy realized is, hey, I really love my wife. And there are way more great things about her, right? Than he kind of was attributing to it when he was in that state of mind. And he wasn't putting in the work, the necessary achievements to really move the needle. Here's the catch, right? Here's the catch. That's what society has taught us all. We have been taught and sold time and time again, hit the easy button. Here in the United States, Tim, we have an office store called Staples, right? It's all over the place. You've been to Staples. I think I've been with you to Staples. Not that you remember every store we go into, but it's one of these big, stores where they sell office equipment. And they had a commercial for a long time and actually sold this little red button you can put on your desk and said easy on it. And the idea is you hit the easy button and they're going to make everything easy for you. We've been sold culturally as men this idea of it should be easy for so long. And here's what I'll tell you guys. Was your business easy? Is your business easy? If you're saying yes, I can guarantee that you're not knocking it out of the park. You're just not. And you're lying. One of the two. Because it's always changing. It's a moving target. Yes, you can have systems in place. You have your SOPs. Yes, you have finance in place. Yes, you have sales processes. You have all these things that are designed to make it easier, but parts of that machine break down all the time. And if you don't consistently work on that machine with your team, it will consistently break down and degrade. And the same thing is with your marriage. So after the Alpha Reset, I'm extremely proud to say that this guy started sharing what he was doing, and his marriage took a 180, right? They were doing amazing things together, and he was doing amazing things by himself. And it was just a small switch, right? Just a little degree, kind of like when you hit a golf ball. They always say, if you hit a golf ball, if the head of the club hits the ball 1 degree off, right? You're in the woods or in the water, so to speak. You're not driving it straight down the fairway where you want it to go. And these are the little tweaks that we do through the activation method and the Alpha Reset, these 1 degree tweaks that the guys then take home. And it makes running, going from the couch, getting onto that trail so much easier, right? Because they're doing the prep work. And then when they hit a snag, they know that snag's coming. And it's it almost becomes laughable because they get up the next day, put the running shoes on. They get up the next day after that, put the running shoes on and go for a jog. And next thing you know, they're going to be like me doing a 5K in Iceland.
I'll join you on the run.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, it will.
You and I always get caught up coaching guys and talking until late evenings. So sometimes that makes it a little difficult, but we could definitely pull it off.
Yeah. 3 a.m.
Yeah. But yeah, so when you look at this, Tim, and you see it, first of all, guys, if you're in this situation where you're feeling guilt or shame around this idea that you've thought, hey, this would be easier if my wife wasn't here, right? And by wasn't here, you're talking about her being dead, right? If she was just smacked by a car and you can start marrying the secretary or the girl at the gym who's always nice to you, right? Guys have these fantasies. You're normal. You're just friggin' normal. Here's a shocker. Your wife thinks this too. I know it's hard to believe, but she's had this thought about you. And if you're thinking this, you're in good company, right? This is just human nature. It's normal. But what you get to do is take action. And as we always say, take massive action immediately to correct the ship, to right the ship. Now, look, if I want to run with Iron Man and all the other guys that are going to be there in Iceland and go for a jog, I can't put off my training till tomorrow. I can't. I won't make it. My knees will hurt more tomorrow. So today, maybe I walk today. Maybe I power walk. I'm like one of those guys you see on the side of the road, women with their hips swinging side to side. I don't know, but I'm going to do something to progress me forward. And if I'm smart, all right, which I've done, is I'm hiring a running coach, right? Couch to 5K, no big deal. I've done it a million times, right? I've coached people to run. However, I'm going to get a coach because the quickest path to victory is having someone guide you. And the coach is going to keep me accountable, right? Today is a day that I'm really busy. I got a lot going on. So very easy for me to skip the run. It's going to be 95 degrees today, too hot, et cetera, et cetera. You guys all get the excuses, right? We've all been there. But that's how we make monumental shifts in our life. None of us want to settle for average. We don't. We're great guys who are doing the best, and you're here because you want to better your lives and better your marriage and save things for your family and yourselves. So with that said, it's time to take massive action and get to work. Tim, any closing comments or thoughts?
I think you've covered some great ground. I love the insight around, hey, shocker, but your wife is thinking the same.
Yeah.
Women, if you're feeling the distance between you two, hence you then thinking things like this, she's obviously feeling it too. Guys often like to think that the wives never have those sexual thoughts about other men or other people like they do, maybe about the receptionist at the gym or so on. But they do, especially when the guy's not giving them the attention, the connection, the validation, everything that they crave. And it's been going on for an extended period of time. Classic one, isn't it? When the guys come home and either find out there's been an emotional affair and it comes out of nowhere, or there's divorce papers on the table. I never saw it come in. I was doing such a good job. All those nice guy things often come up for the men. So, and at the same time, you can change at any point. You really can. It doesn't have to take weeks for you to make a decision to change. You can literally choose now. Doesn't mean you have the result straight away, but you can be on the path, and that's enough. Because just being on the path will put you in the conversation and give you tools, and even that will shift how you feel and how you show up, and she will sense and feel that from you.
No, it's very true. And, it's all about doing it consistently, right? And doing this is why so many men who start the activation method within a number of weeks very quickly start to see monumental changes. Some subtle shifts, but oftentimes within 4 weeks, we hear guys right away go, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing. In fact, we just had a guy, Tim, I don't know if you saw this. Guys, we have a wins channel that the whole team celebrates. So there's about 30 people in the movement that are actively involved in helping all these guys that come through our programs. And one just came through before we hit record on this podcast. And it was one of the advisors was like, hey, just checking in on you to see how the program's going for you, because he cares. And the guy said, amazing. I was allowed to move back into the house. He was kicked out of his house, going through divorce. I moved back in the house, and I have TPM to thank for it. Thank you guys so much. My family's back together. And it's things like that, right? Where men are having real results and significantly moving the needle in their personal lives, but also their relationships. That makes this so fulfilling. All right, guys, that's a wrap for this episode. But as I always say, in the moment of insight, take massive action. You see, there are two types of men that listen to a podcast like this. Those that go on from one podcast or show to another, just hoping things are going to change and realizing that they're going to be in the same place month after month, year after year. You see, I was this guy, so I completely get it. You may just not be ready. But there's also a second man that listens to a show just like this. And this is a guy who takes massive action so they can shorten the learning curve, compress time, and get results to be the wolf. See, wolf is an acronym for wise, open, loving, and fierce. Now, ask yourself, which one am I? And just be honest with yourself there. And there's no judgment on my end, but if you're ready to move from deactivated deer mode, which is defend, excuse, explain, react, to activated wolf, wise, open, loving, and fierce, then go over to thepowerfulman.com/grow and go there now. In fact, I'll make it super easy for you. I will even put the link right in the description here so you can just click it and go over there now to learn more. Guys, in the moment of insight, take massive action. Go from deactivated to activated, because like I said, life is too short for average. And I'll see you on the next episode.